Hey guys, it's John with LearningGuitarNow.com, and in this free lesson I'm going to show you a little bit of how to improvise over a 12-bar blues in the key of G, and specifically, what notes can you play, just a little simple exercise that you can do to give you a little bit more understanding of how to go about improvising over a 12-bar blues, and just a tip on not playing too many notes. So first, we're going to take a 12-bar blues in the key of G. So the chords are G7, we're going to use C9 here, C9, D9, your 1, 4, and 5 chords in a 12-bar blues, key of G. So the next thing we want to do is just understand that you don't have to play a ton of notes when you're improvising over a 12-bar blues. A lot of times less is more in just playing a solo in blues context. So a little exercise that you can do is we're going to use this little B.B. King position here. Your root note G is on the 8th fret of the B string. This little position here. So the exercise that we want to do is just stay right there in that position and just improvise a 12-bar solo without moving anywhere else on the fretboard. A lot of times people will just play, B.B. King licks. Just going really fast, moving all across the neck. And a lot of times, that can sound good, but you need to learn restraint and how to use less notes and have more of an impact when you're playing blues. So you just want to take a 12-bar blues, key of G, and just stay right there and do a whole solo. So you have your G chord, 1, 2, 3, 4. C chord, back to G. Back to C. Back to G. 2, 3. To G. Back to G. 2, 3. D. So you can do a whole 12-bar blues around by just staying right there in that position, and it will sound really good, and you'll learn a lot of restraint. Just limiting yourself to that position will make you think more melodically when you're playing over this 12-bar blues changes. So one little tip on what notes can you play over the chords. Of course, G sounds good over all 3 chords because it's the root. That's what key you're in, G. So that note, you can always end on that note in the key of G over the G, C, and D chords. So that is the 8th fret on the B string. One option, there are many options that you can do when you're playing over the C chord, but one option is to play this note right here on the G string. It's the 9th fret, which is the major 3rd of the C chord. Just a simple little F chord position. You have the major 3rd of C. So when the C chord comes around, you could end on the 9th fret of the G because the chord tone of the C major chord, or it's also contained in the 9th chord and 7th chord. Now, when the 12-bar blues progression goes to D, you can play this note right here, the 10th fret of the B string. So that is the 5th interval of the D chord. So that note sounds good. So it's all in the little B.B. King position. This is just one option of many that you can use when just playing that little position over 12-bar blues. You got G over the 1 chord, and then you have the 9th fret on the, it's actually an E note on the G string over the C chord, the major 3rd. And then we have the 5th interval here, it's an A note over the D chord. So those are 3 different notes that you can use when the chords change. 2, 3, C. I'm using the quick change 12 bar. But it's just a great exercise to put into practice to keep you from just moving all down the fretboard and just creating just tons of licks. I've taught many students that just seem to feel like they have to go all across the fretboard to make it seem like they're playing something cool, when in actuality you can just stay in this one little position. And I'm only using like 3 notes. You can play an entire solo right there, and a lot of times that's going to be more effective. Of course you can play tons of licks at some parts, and it's good to like have a range of going all over the place, but setting up your solo, learning how to play a simple solo is going to sound way better in the beginning if you're starting blues guitar than just blazing all these licks all over the place, because it's going to be confusing for a listener to understand what you're trying to convey. And a lot of times, everybody hears the phrase less is more, and in this case that is definitely the situation, especially with blues guitar. So try to practice up on that. It's just a little tip about improvising, what notes you can play over a 12-bar blues in the key of G. And for more lessons on learning blues guitar and slide guitar, please check out learningguitarnow.com, and I'll see you again.